Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to part two of episode two on Tide Takes here with Casey and Jonathan. So this episode, this is part two. We're gonna hop into a few other topics, try and get off the Vanderbilt loss as much as we can, even though we are just absolutely livid about it. God Almighty. But you wanna pick up, Casey? Give us your take on
Yeah.
college football or playoffs or whatever.
Yeah, so I had a question for you coming back. I was thinking about it when we just ate some lunch. What does that Vandy loss actually mean for Alabama? What does that Arkansas loss for Tennessee mean? Is it a guarantee if you get two losses, you're still in now? I think now if you do have three losses, you're probably automatically out, especially with one of those being the Vandy. If we had lost, let's just hypothetical, a Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma all on the road, cool. Or if you had lost two of those and lost one to Georgia, but now I think a two is max, and we do have some tough games coming up. Missouri at home, I'm not considering that one as much of a threat. Wasn't even before they got beat by A&M. And I'm still not considering them much as of a threat. Quite frankly, I consider South Carolina more of a threat than Missouri at the moment. And I think with this stretch of tough road games, DeBoer hasn't been in Death Valley at prime time. DeBoer hasn't been in Neyland Stadium prime time. He hasn't been into those places where they throw piss on you.
Top
Where
top
they
10 matchup in Neyland, bro.
I mean, you haven't been in those places. You got Georgia at home, which we were very thankful for, by the way. Thank you, college football world. We were very thankful. We prayed to the college football gods after that one. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on, the Tide's chances, now having, and Tennessee, and you look at USC, lost to Minnesota. I mean, what do you think it is now with all these teams, not just losing, but losing to unranked teams? What does that do?
So okay. So I think I want to go off on a little bit of your two loss. So I agree. I think you can't have two losses and be in. I think if you go more than two, okay, let me backtrack. I think if you have two losses, it's going to matter where your preseason ranking is. Also, with two or three losses, it's going to matter who you beat. I think who you beat is going to matter more than who you lost to.
Fair.
Because, right, let's say Bama does lose to LSU and Missouri now. But we have a top 5 win at home, and then we have a top 10 win away. So we've beaten two of the teams in the playoff, essentially. Two playoff teams. I think if you've beaten two playoff teams and you only have two or three losses, you're most likely in. The only thing that's going to get hairy is, we talked about it last week a little bit, is that automatic bid from the group of 6 or group of 5 or whatever it is, right? That can be where, hey, we're talking a 2-loss or a 3-loss SEC or Big Ten team, that beat 2 or 3 playoff teams, lost, got up for the big games, lost some not as big games in between. Do you put that team in there, or do you put the I mean, they're gonna put the group of five in there. They have to. It's in the freaking bylaws, which is just horrible. But no,
Awful.
speaking from Bama's perspective on it, the season's not over. We are still very much in it. We could still end up number one or number two. We can still get a bye week. It's not the whole season is in the team's hands, is in the coach's hands, in the team's hands. How are they going to respond to this? It's been a long time. It has been a long, long time since the University of Alabama football team has had this type of adversity. A long time. I mean, Shula time.
This type of adversity, yeah. Where you lose to a team that everyone goes, "What the frick?"
I mean, Saban lost to an unranked team at number 1, 2, Texas A&M team. They had like 3 or 4 losses at the time.
Wasn't that also the same year that they recruited the number 1 class with like 9 5-stars? I think it was 2022.
Maybe. I think
or
it was
that 21. That was 21. That was 21. We ended up beating UGA that year, and then they beat us. Yeah.
So that's not unheard of. But what is unheard of is the way we lost to Vanderbilt. That's what's unheard of. That's what, or not unheard of for Bama, but in recent memory, especially, post Saban fans. That is what's going to determine our season. Where DeBoer and where Womack and where the players take the rest of the year, and how do they respond? If they respond like we're used to Saban's teams, we have a loss like this or similar to this, we know the team's going to respond. We don't know if DeBoer's team's going to be able to respond properly.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw what how they handled a extreme amount of success. You're talking about in the limelight. I mean, that Vandy team came out ready to really do something. It's like you're saying. I'm curious to see how are we going to respond to the failure. I hope we respond to failure the exact same we responded to success. Which is really pissed off because we looked extremely happy and extremely content. That's probably the best word to describe where the team
lackadaisical,
content and just satisfied with what we already had going on with the season, just satisfied with our playoffs. Hey, we got a shit Vandy team in front of us. Let's go beat them. Roll into a average, but slightly above average because of their defense, South Carolina team. And then let's go whoop some Tennessee butt. But I guess we'll see. The playoffs are. I'm curious about the playoffs now because I think this year, are they gonna hold? Let's just say if UGA loses 2 more games, hypothetical, right? Hypothetical. If they lose 2 more games, which is possible, are they gonna still say, "Hey, Bama got that number 2? They got a big victory against the number 2 team," or are they gonna look at them and say, "Well, Georgia's technically like a 15 now"? You know what I mean? Or are they still going to credit the number 2 win? You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they're going to do that anymore. Like this year, like FSU was 10. Are they going to say, well, Georgia Tech beat a top 10 team, in Ireland or whatever? And it's like, you can't do that anymore, And I think it was dumb for them to do that in the past. They would say, "Hey, they beat a ranked 18th Texas A&M team." Well, now they're 7-5 and they're like ranked 49th or whatever. It's not that you didn't get a top 18 win. At the time you did. And I think they need to do a better job of looking at the picture instead of the single moment because you see it every year. Early year, their hands are tied. They have to rank the teams based off of what they just think is going to be the rankings. You know, the best rankings aren't until the end of the year when they've seen all the teams play, they've seen this, they've seen that, they have all this information to put forth what they feel like is the best. And you know, are they going to still hold stock in what you did in week 3 if that week 3 opponent becomes a, you know, weaker team at the end of the season?
I think they did last year, but the opposite, right? Like Texas came in and whipped our tail, right? We couldn't Milrow threw arguably the worst pick I've ever seen a quarterback throw, especially at the collegiate level.
Which one?
The one he just threw it straight to the corner. Like just didn't even like.
It was almost like Tua against Clemson when he
just stared at the corner and then threw him the ball like in the chest. I mean, that was one of the best. I mean, that was bad. Way worse than the Carson.
He Carson Becked it.
But worse, like way worse. So I think they looked at that Texas win there against us, and then we beat Georgia, right? So they gave Texas, even though Texas lost the game that year to like Oklahoma State, I think it was. Even though Texas lost the game to a not as high ranked team, they gave them an immense amount of credit for us beating Georgia. So hopefully they keep that precedent, right? So like we do have to kind of root for the dogs a little bit the rest of the way. You know?
Yeah,
we really do.
Right.
We need them to go.
You're right, because we don't have like Texas is not a common opponent. Ole Miss is not a common opponent. We have Tennessee. We don't have LSU. I mean, we don't have very many common opponents left.
If we go undefeated the rest of the way, which like I said last at part 1, defense really has me worried. If we do somehow go undefeated, Georgia has to beat Texas for us to get in the SEC championship game. Yeah, they have to.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, if Texas beats Georgia, then it'd be between Ole Miss, us, and Tennessee. If Texas beats Georgia.
So really, we're Vandy supporters because
we
need Vandy to do better than Kentucky. We need because Ole Miss only has 1 loss. Kentucky has a better record. It's like
I haven't looked at how the tiebreakers exactly work now, but like you could have Texas undefeated, us at 1 loss, and Ole Miss at 1.
You could have 3 teams with 1 loss.
Yep, and then 1 with no loss. Now, if Georgia beats Tennessee, if Georgia beats Texas, then I think we're in, because we're in, and then Texas loses out on the head-to-head to Georgia, and we went out on the head-to-head to Georgia. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read. I have to go.
Well, then what happens to a 1-loss Ole Miss team?
Ole Miss has to play Georgia, so that'll get settled.
I know.
One of those 2 teams is gonna get a loss there. So it's either going to be Ole Miss or Georgia.
Texas would probably be the team that's out if Georgia beats Ole Miss and Texas. Texas is probably the team that's out at that point because we beat Georgia. Georgia beat Texas. Texas didn't play us to kind of settle a 3-way tie there. So they wouldn't have.
We'd have to look up. I'll look it up this week and figure out exactly how the
tiebreaker stuff actually is. Now that there's no sides in conferences.
I mean, it's football. All that stuff usually works itself out, right? Like 99% of the time, it works itself out.
Now, do I want to be an SEC champion? Yes. I want to be an SEC champion. But hey, dude, if we already have a loss or 2, why not give yourself a bye week, an additional bye week, not have to play a physical, dominant front seven, regardless of who you play, not have to play a potential world-class, top
Offense.
3 offense, in Texas or a Georgia team that could score some points on you. I mean, that's an additional tough game. You go there, if you lose that game and then you're in the playoffs, dude, now you got to win 4 playoff games to win it all. 4. After you just played the top 5 team.
Yep.
The SEC, I mean, Big Ten and SEC need to hurry up and make this agreement to where they're just the top 2 conferences. They need to hurry up and get it done so we can play our own playoff, our own regular season.
Yep.
And that way, we don't have to deal with, a Clemson or a Miami getting to play a chump change schedule and get to roll into the playoffs as a 13 and 12 team. And that's just absolute garbage. You're talking about Miami being a top team, and you look at what they have going on. For them to be able to get to play, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Cal, FSU, garbage.
Cal
Go
beat
down the
Auburn.
list of all. Huh?
Cal beat Auburn.
Huh?
Cal beat
Well,
Auburn.
that's the barn. That's the barn.
I got to take my shots when they're there, dude.
That's the barn. We hate them. We need to hurry up and figure something out because now that there's a 12-team playoff, I mean, hell, dude, on a down year, the ACC could have 3 teams in it. Like they could have a 2-loss Louisville. 2 undefeated teams go into the championship game and 1 come out of it with a loss, and they could have.
That's where it's not fair, right? Like 2 of the conferences are playing a significantly tougher schedule.
And let's not get into the Big 12. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
let's just not even.
I don't even think they have a ranked team. I think we lost you there a little bit.
No, sorry. Someone called me and it came through. All right, sorry, buddy. What's up?
I don't think the Big 12 has a ranked team, unless they ranked Colorado now.
Colorado. They probably they got Coach Prime up in top 25, man. Coach Prime.
But that schedule is so weak, dude.
Terrible.
You got Georgia, Bama, Texas, Ole Miss. You got these teams playing 3.
LSU's only got 1 loss, and
you got these teams playing 3 and 4, sometimes 5 top 15 teams.
Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying.
Oklahoma.
And then you're going to put another team in the playoff because they have a better record against competent. They don't have a single win against the ranked team. Their whole season is Vandy, Kentucky. Worse than that on some scenarios. It's basically Vandy. Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech, who was the dark horse ACC winner this year.
Yeah. Yep.
And they should have beat Miami.
Yeah.
They got hosed. And they should have beat
Miami. At Miami. Mm-hmm. And Cal. I mean, did you see the no targeting call, that flag that they took back? Bro, Jihad. Well, no, it wasn't Jihad Campbell. It was Jefferson. Very similar, but far more egregious of a targeting call that Miami defender. And that's twice. I think that's back-to-back weeks. The ACC was like, look, y'all, if we call this, we do not have any undefeated teams representing the ACC. And the SEC don't give a shit. Neither does the Big Ten. You know why? because they're like, look at what this team had to play. They should have a loss. They should have 2 losses
against unranked teams. So everybody giving Bama shit, us included. Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Us included. There needs to be a hard look at Miami.
They keep talking about, well, Cam Ward's the Heisman frontrunner, or Miami's
we talked about it a little
undefeated. Look at the nuts on this guy to come back like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it takes some nuts, but Jesus Christ, bro. Their defense.
It's just and you know, one of my best friends is a Clemson fan, so I'm not trying to drag them through the mud or anything, but like they get rewarded time and time again for playing a weak schedule.
Yep.
For playing a week schedule.
Yep.
They play an SEC team at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. And those are the toughest games they play all year.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, they got boat raced in the second half by Georgia. And then they start beating up on the weakest of the weak ACC teams. And ESPN pushing the ACC narratives all, oh, look at how great Clemson's playing right now. Look at that. They're really good. They're really good. Are they, though? We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We know what Clemson's problem is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got too many mofos that look like us on the field.
On the perimeter, especially.
They got too many white boys out there. That's Clemson's problem. So when they actually play, top talent, it just doesn't work, bro. Doesn't work. Old Dabo needs to get out of the Stone Age and hit the transfer portal.
And that's what we talked about. I would love to see the SEC and the Big Ten just go and get 5, 6 more teams each and do their own thing. Do their own thing. If that's how we're going to do this, do that. Make a mini NFL.
Well, that's what it would be. It would be a 30, 4 to 40-ish team. And then at that point, you could have a badass 16-team playoff.
20-team playoff.
20 whatever. Hey, only 10 regular season games and add 2 more playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or 11. 11 in a championship.
Yeah. And I think, I think
they could do that, right? They could do that where they play 11 games or 12 games still. And then if you make it to the SEC or the Big Ten championship game, you automatically get a bye, regardless. Right? Regardless, if you make it if you're one of the top 2 in the Big Ten, the top 2 in the SEC, regardless of the outcome of that game, you get a bye week. And that way you can keep the conference.
Since we're gonna do auto bids, right?
Right. Or you just let the playoffs be Big Ten, like the NFL, right? The Big Ten side, the SEC side, and then the winner of each one of those play. I mean, we would not have any TCUs making it through that crap.
Nope, no more Cincinnati's. I mean, you got to think, bro. We're looking at like a BYU, a Colorado, a
Boise State.
A Boise State getting an automatic bid, not have to win anything, not have to play tough.
They could be 3 losses. They could get in over a 2-loss Big Ten team
because they're the conference. Oh my goodness! Stop with the bullshit, bro. Stop with the bullshit. There's the automatic bids is just to try to not leave anyone out. Well, you know what, guys?
It's a participation trophy.
Hey, in life, people get left out. If you're not the smartest in a certain profession, if you're not the most handyman, if you're not the best with numbers, or you're not the best with computers, any of those professions, if you're not the best, you're left out. And that's just the bottom line. If I've been working at a company for 15 years and Jonathan wants to show up, and in year 2, the guy's like, damn, dude, this guy's like really picking up some speed, they'll cut me in a heartbeat because he believes that you're the best option. You get cut out in life, you get crapped on in life, you get left out in life. You know, we're not teaching the college football world anything by giving them auto bids. Nope. They're not teaching them anything. You know, that you would think that the 12-team playoff would, especially now that you're seeing conferences shift. I don't know what are your thoughts on this? I would almost rather see, you know, the college football playoff committee like almost force those teams that are like right there on the you know, the outside looking in, force them to join the big conferences so they get real respect, you know, when it comes to ranking and potential like a playoff.
Well, they have to play a real schedule.
That's what I'm saying. Like you would almost want, or I would almost want the college football committee to leave out any of the, well, they went undefeated in the MAC. Well, what does that mean, dude? Because we do not say we, Alabama. You know, an SEC team can lose to, you know, Georgia could lose to Bama and Texas and potentially not be in the playoff, depending on, or we could lose one more game and potentially not be in the playoff. But then you're going to allow, you know, Boise State, which that running back is.
Yeah, he's the truth.
He is. At first, I was just crap talking him, but he, yeah, dude, he's good. You know what I mean? I was like, he plays for Boise State, whatever. And then you watch him, and he's like a more powerful Alvin Kamara, dude. He's good, bro. I don't know. I just think they should almost incentivize playing in a better conference. And I mean, God, dude, look at what's in the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, truly look and study it. Yeah, what is there, and what do
it's just the problem, and that goes back to my point last week, right? How they set this up, the rich get richer, and then they want to throw like a little dog treat at the group of fives. Like, okay, we're gonna do this, but here you go. Here's your little treat, right? You're going to get in and you're going to get crapped on. I don't know why they don't just divide it up and have a separate national championship for the group of 5 or group of 6 or whatever it is now. That would make so much. That would make so much more sense.
Let your mid-major teams battle it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would give the group of 5s something to fight for, and it'd give us fans something more to watch.
All those schools are fighting for one spot.
One spot.
Because they're not putting 2 group of 5 teams in. And if they do, they're just
ignorant. Was a really down year for everybody else.
Yeah, ignorant was a super down year.
But you really look at it, right? Like, no offense, I went to Georgia Southern, so no offense to the Eagles, but Georgia Southern, Western Kentucky, you know, South Alabama, schools like that, Appalachian State. Those schools don't have a chance to win national championship. They don't. I don't know if they ever will.
Their national championship,
if they would.
Their national championship is a like Capital One Bowl, you know.
Yeah. So let them play a national championship. Give them an actual chance to win a national championship versus giving them a throw a dog a bone. Here's a spot in the playoffs where you're going to go against the 5 seed, a 1 or 2 loss SEC or Big Ten team, and you're going to get smashed. No one wants to see that. We don't want to see that. Kirby said it after they beat TCU. He was like, "This isn't what the national championship should be. I'm happy we won, but that's not what the national championship should be."
After the post game, he literally was like, "This is really what y'all want, guys. Like, I'm glad we won, but y'all really want like teams like us to play teams like that? Really? Like, that's what you want? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You know? Like, go ahead and do this for me, bro. Go ahead and do this. disband the Big 12, force them to either go SEC, Big 10, disband the ACC, force them to go one way or the other, and then just have it like that. What
Something.
your Maction,
or,
your Mountain West,
I mean, you know my
your
thoughts on it. I think
Appalachian Conference.
we only have like 10 minutes left, but you know my thoughts on it. I think college football should use the European soccer model
Yeah.
with relegation and promotions.
Yeah.
That way you give each division a chance to win a national championship and you get the best games. You get the best teams playing the best teams every single week. And then that is the only way we will ever truly find out who is the best team. That's the only way you'll ever truly find out.
There's always that talk, though, and human feelings get involved, and the feelings is what ruins everything. Is people's feelings, because they're going to be like, "Hey, well, we went, 9-3. We should be able to compete with them." Well, you had a team where you had, 16 of your 22 were seniors, and like 8 of them were fifth-year seniors. I mean, you'll be right back to 6-6, buddy. Like, calm down. And I don't know. There's not the only way to do it, in my opinion, is have 2 conferences like the NFL. Hey, it's funny that we say it, but the bottom barrel ACC, the super bottom barrel Big 12, and send those guys to the Maction, send them to the Mountain West, send them to the Appalachian Conference or whatever it is, and let's go play some freaking football, dude. Like, I can't watch like Colorado and Kansas State play this weekend. That's a potential like playoff decider game. Really? These people want Dion in there so bad. They want Mullet Man in there so bad. They want Avery Johnson to just be the comeback kid and be in the playoffs so bad for Kansas State. They want that. They're dying for the Cinderella story. Well, one thing I've learned in college football, bro, the Cinderella story isn't there, and it's not there. And when they run into someone who's better, it shows on the big stage. You typically don't have your Cinderella stories in football. You have them in basketball. You have them in baseball. Football, there's only so much, a Cinderella team can get.
Oh, dude, I'm looking at it right now. The highest ranked Big 10 team, or a Big 12 team, excuse me, is 14, BYU. So I was incorrect earlier by saying they didn't have any ranks. But
whatever, dude.
Like that.
BYU, they have the same problem Clemson has. Too many white boys.
Right. Exactly. So you're talking about teams that are bottom half at best of the top 25 at best, and they're going to be one of the top 5 teams. One of the top 4 seeds is going to be one of them. A team that's not even in the top 15.
And what's funny is they're going to say, well, then I love this argument. Well, so-and-so played, Kentucky and beat them, early in the year, and then Clemson played South Carolina and they beat them. They played an SEC team. My buddy is a big ACC fan. He was like, hey, ACC was like 5-3 to start the season against the SEC. I'm like, look, there's a difference in playing one game. But when you have to play the SEC every single game, BYU, come and play Bama's or Georgia's schedule or Oklahoma's schedule, Auburn's schedule. Come play that schedule. See where you're at.
Yep.
Come see where you're at, because there's no way that a potential top 20 something potential unranked team gets an auto bid.
Nope.
No way. You should have
Nope.
to be 11 or 12 and play two really good SEC or two really good Big Ten or whatever the case is. You should have to go through a small little gauntlet in that playoff and not get a free bid because your conference sucks.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Just bottom line, bro. Teams are gonna get bids because their conference sucks, and a bye. They're gonna need a bye,
and they're gonna leave teams out who deserve to be in because another team played in a weaker conference, a weaker schedule, and had a better record. It's football. That's what football is right now. But we're gonna wrap it up here. Talk about the playoffs. Always fun. I love it. I'm glad we did it. I think they went to too many teams, but that's just my take on it. But it's here. We got to deal with it. It'll give us more football. Can't ever say no to more football.
Yeah, dude. And another reason to lay on the couch on Saturdays and Sundays.
Right. Be on the phone, kids' baseball games and crap, locked in.
Always. Can't miss the action.
No, not a second. But Jonathan here, Casey, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate your time. Like I said at the end of part 1, if you have any takes you would like for us to take a look at, maybe put on the video, put on the podcast, let us know. Send them over to tidetakes1@gmail.com or comment on the video. And like I said, thank you guys for watching. We're going to come back on Thursday, probably do another 30 minutes or so on some more college football stuff, looking at the week ahead. And we appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to Tide Takes.
Thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.